Hey guys, it's another tropical update that I'm doing today, and of course, once again, we will be talking about Tropical Storm Isaias. Now, real quick, before we really get into talking about Isaias, I do just want to quickly talk about and just mention this disturbance that's in the uh, western tropical Atlantic near the Leeward Islands. This system does have, as of right now, it does actually have some decent rotation with it and have some convection with it. Now, of course, it's not really forecast to become any kind of tropical system up until around Tuesday, Wednesday of this upcoming week. The NHC does say that environmental conditions are forecast to be conducive for additional development during the next few days, and a tropical depression could form by the middle of the week. So again, like Tuesday, Wednesday. This system is forecast to turn northwestward and then northward over the western Atlantic, passing north of the Leeward Islands on Monday and Tuesday. It has a 30% chance of forming within the next 2 days, and then a 60% chance of forming within the next 5 days. So, again, yeah, we're going to have to really watch this heading in towards the really Tuesday, Wednesday, and end of this upcoming week. So, that'll be very interesting to see. And you can see its development area does take it closer towards the East Coast. We'll see what the NHC's potential cone forecast could be for this system. The chances of it really impacting the East Coast aren't really that high at all right now, but of course, in any case, we're going to have to watch the system, most likely anyway. Also, I have been saying that I will be putting out my updated official 2020 Atlantic hurricane season forecast once we get potentially 10 named storms before August 15th. And it could happen either with this system or potentially a different system over the next couple weeks or so. So watch out for that potential video over the next 1 to 3 weeks, I gotta say. So, there's the potential, really, definite potential that I could be putting that video out. There's not going to be too much change, I'll tell you that right now, but that is something that I am really eyeing to potentially do. But all right, now let's get into Tropical Storm Isaias. And you can see, as of right now, as of the 11 a.m. advisory, it's a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm. It's a strong tropical storm. 995 millibars is its central pressure, and it's moving north-northwest at 8 miles per hour. So it's definitely moving a lot slower than it has yesterday and even Friday. It went from moving at like 20 to 23 miles per hour to moving only like 9 miles per hour within a day, pretty much. That was very incredible to see. Now let's look at the official forecast cone from the NHC as of right now, and you can see it forecasts the system to be a tropical storm heading up the Florida coast and then curving more towards the northeast and heading through the Carolinas and then up into the northeast and New England areas. This is definitely going to be something we're going to have to watch. There's a tropical storm warning in effect for the central and northern Florida coast up through the Georgia coast, South Carolina coast, and the southern part of the North Carolina coast, with a tropical storm watch in effect for the Outer Banks area and very eastern parts of the mainland of North Carolina. Though those will also be most likely transition to tropical storm warnings pretty soon as well. And then I do expect tropical storm watches and then warnings even to be put into effect for farther north towards the Jersey coast, Delmarva coast, and southern New England coast over the next day or so. So that's definitely going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. I want to show you the wind speed probabilities actually as for right now as well, and I'm gonna zoom this in so you guys can see this better. But the chance of tropical storm force winds pretty much are definite for the South Carolina coast and especially the North Carolina, eastern North Carolina, Outer Banks coastal areas, with percentages up towards like 60-70% chance. And then even getting into the Delmarva, New Jersey, southern New England areas, percentage chances are up to 40% chance of tropical storm force winds. So that's the chances are continuing to go up for the potential of tropical storm force winds for coastal and southern New England and the coastal mid-Atlantic and Northeast. So that's going to be very interesting to watch play out. Here's the arrival time of winds, and you can see that for the Carolinas around Monday 8 p.m. So tomorrow evening into tomorrow night is when they should expect the arrival time of tropical storm force winds. And then getting up into the Delmarva and Jersey coast Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. And then most likely for the New York City tri-state area, southern New England, coastal southern New England, should expect it towards maybe noon on Tuesday, the beginnings of the tropical storm force winds to arrive then. And then for northern New England around Tuesday evening around 8 p.m. For the earliest arrival for tropical storm force winds. So that's when you should expect to really kind of definitely batten down the hatches and just stay inside really, because most likely by that point in time, the winds will really pick up and it will become most likely a bit too dangerous to be outside. So that's something you're going to have to really keep in mind. Let's go to tropical tidbits now, and we'll look at what Isaias looks like right now. And you can see, here's the satellite imagery, and this, honestly, I gotta say, is deceiving. It is a bit deceiving. Because the reason I say that is because it does look like it is a pretty healthy system, of course, with all this really tall and good convection, but it is on a general weakening trend. It is at a strong tropical storm right now, but it is forecast to in general continue to weaken as it heads farther north and then northeast. But I mean, as of right now, it looks like it'll generally maintain its strength most likely for the majority of today, and then it will really most likely be going into tonight and then tomorrow, where we really see the sharp decrease of strength with the system. But I mean, in general, it looks pretty healthy for the time being with the convection. The center of the storm is definitely within this deep convection, so that is a good thing. But we will quickly, most likely, start to see this really decrease in strength, especially over the next, I'd say, 18 to 24 hours. This is where the low pressure center is right now, just off the Florida East Coast, right off the West Palm Beach's East Coast, I think, around West Palm Beach. I think that's like about 50 to 100 miles east of that coastline there. Here's the hurricane track guidance for the storm, and they are in very good agreement of it generally heading in a north, maybe slightly northwestern direction, and then starting to curve more north and northeast over the North Carolina and Virginia, and then up through New Jersey, and then into New York City and Connecticut, and then up through New England and into Canada. So as of right now, it looks likely that, decently likely that, of course, it is still about a couple days out, so this could still change a bit, but it does seem more likely than not that the center could track pretty close or even over New York City. So, there is definitely that potential. Just those people, especially who live around New York City, please be prepared for that. But this is what the GFS ensemble member model track is showing, and again, it's really agreeing with that general hurricane track guidance, showing it curving north and northeast, going over North Carolina, and then up through around the New York City, Connecticut area, and into New England. Now the CMC, I'll show you the CMC. This is what the CMC's ensemble track guidance is showing for the storm, but take this with a bit of a grain of salt because the CMC hasn't really been handling the storm at all that well. So don't fully trust that with any significance. This is the Model intensity guidance for the system. You can see in general, yeah, a few models are showing it maybe being able to strengthen a little bit, maybe attaining Category 1 status again, but that's generally very unlikely. It will most likely try to maintain its strength of around 65 miles per hour for the next 36 to 48 hours, and then we'll see a sharp decrease in intensity once it makes landfall in the North Carolina area and heads up through the Mid-Atlantic and New England. Now, let's look at the forecast models. The 12Z run of the GFS is coming in. I'm going to zoom this into the eastern U.S. so we get a slightly closer look at the system. And you can see there's a system there. It starts to head more northward along the Florida East Coast, just offshore the Georgia and South Carolina East Coast. And then, you know what, I'm going to zoom this in for you guys so you can see it better. You can see it's as it's heading north towards North and South Carolina, most likely, I think the most likely landfall for the system in the Carolinas is going to be more towards Wilmington, North Carolina, so more of a North Carolina landfall. You can see as it heads very close to the Carolina coast, it could maybe strengthen a slight bit in terms of pressure. Could get back down to around the low 990 millibars, but in general, it should maintain its strength really between now and by the time it makes landfall in North Carolina. And then it heads up through North Carolina, Virginia, the Delmarva, and then into New York City and into New England. And potentially being around 1,000 millibar low pressure center, very tight, compact 1,000 millibar low pressure system moving through New York City and Connecticut and into New England. So could be a very kind of intense, weaker system as it heads through the tri-state area there. So that is something to keep our eyes out for. I'll show you the forecast total rainfall for Isaias as it heads all the way up the East Coast. And here, let me zoom this in and bring this down. You can see for a large area from coastal South Carolina up through northern New England, most places are expecting 2 inches and above. And then especially for southern and coastal North Carolina around Charleston, the Charleston area, and a little farther up to the north and east of Charleston, maybe areas getting as much as 5 to 7 inches of rainfall maybe. I'm forecasting the highest total of rainfall potentially for Isaias on land could be around 10 to 12 inches of rainfall. That's a lot of rainfall for this kind of a system, especially really with how fast it'll be moving through these areas as well. So that flash flooding potential is also quite high with that. Now for the New York City tri-state area, generally expect maybe 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. Probably more closer to around 2 inches of rainfall. But especially if you live in more of the northern parts of New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, central and southern New York State, up through Vermont, New Hampshire, and maybe some of Maine, expect more towards like 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, closer towards 4 inches of rainfall maybe. Again, in general, though, it's going to be a pretty big rainmaker anyway. So, again, that's just, again, something to keep in mind. I'll show you the CMC model now. Keep it on the eastern U.S. and we'll switch to the MSLP and precip. Oh, the 12Z run is just going to be, let's see how far it takes now. All right, I'm going to have to change it to the 00Z run. This past run of the CMC model. And the CMC model shows it making landfall more towards South Carolina as a little bit weaker system, more around 1,000 millibars and around like 993 millibars. And then as it heads north through North Carolina, Virginia, the Delmarva, New Jersey, and Connecticut, it shows it's slightly more to the west than the GFS, but still in general pretty good agreement with the GFS, with around 1,000 millibar low pressure system still with very heavy rain moving through the New York City tri-state area. So let's now, let me zoom this out a little bit more to show you the total rainfall expected for, according to the CMC. Hold on. Try this again. If this doesn't work, oh, there we go. Sorry about that. I think my Wi-Fi had a little bit of a problem there. But yeah, again, in general, it's in general agreement with this GFS, but does show much higher totals for the DC area, Baltimore area, up through just to the west of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Philadelphia area, but going through eastern Pennsylvania and into southern New York State, showing totals of around around 4 to 7 inches of rainfall. So there's a bit of a disagreement with rainfall between the CMC and GFS, but in general, again, for really from South Carolina up through New Hampshire, expect most likely general rainfall totals ranging between 1 to 4 inches of rainfall. So that's a general, that should be the general rainfall, and then where the heaviest rainfall will most likely fall, expect more towards 4 to 7 inches of rainfall, maybe slightly more in isolated spots. Now I'll show you what the European model is predicting with this system as it heads up the East Coast. Let me zoom this out for you guys. There we go. There's the system, and bring this farther out in time. Actually, let me zoom this in for you guys. There we go. And the European model is showing the system maybe kind of strengthening a good bit more as it's heading up the Florida coast and then up along the Georgia-South Carolina coast, making landfall more towards South Carolina around the Charleston area as a 998 millibar low pressure center. But then as it heads up towards the New York City tri-state area and the coastal mid-Atlantic and New England, expect around 1,000 millibar, again, also around 1,000 millibar low pressure system moving through, a very compact 1,000 millibar low pressure system moving through. So it will be a much more intense type of system with that kind of pressure, with pretty heavy rain and strong winds. And even with the strong winds, expect some decent coastal flooding. Let me show you the total rainfall according to this European model. Let me bring this out. Here we go. Here's the rainfall. What is going on? Oh, I see, because I put it in play. Hold on. Let me bring this out to there. Bring this down. There we go. Okay. So here's the total rainfall. Again, just like I've been saying, from South Carolina up through New Hampshire, Maine, I expect general totals of between 1 to 4 inches, with isolated spots getting maybe up towards 5, 6, 7 inches of rainfall. So yeah, expect a decent chance of flash flooding, and then also pretty decent chance at coastal flooding along the coastline. So definitely want to keep that in mind. All right, so now the last bit of the video, let's go to the Wikipedia page for the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. And as of right now, we've had a total of 10 depressions. We did have that Tropical Depression 10 form just off the African coast, but then dissipate, did not become a named storm, so it wasn't really significant at all. I was kind of surprised that the NHC did make it an official tropical depression, but you know, it's fine. We've had a total of 9 named storms thus far, 2 hurricanes, 30 fatalities, and a total damage so far at around a little more than $1.77 billion in damage. So it has been a decently damaging season thus far. And I do want to point something out, very interesting thing that I have found out over the past day, that Again, kind of comparing the season to the 2017 Atlantic hurricane season and the 2005 Atlantic hurricane season, with just like kind of the way the kind of systems and timeline of the systems went. Both the 2017 and 2005 Atlantic hurricane season also had a Tropical Depression 10 that did not get named. It was just a Tropical Depression, and it was Tropical Depression 10. And this is exactly what happened with this season as well. So that is also a kind of very interesting comparison to those seasons. And of course, kind of this Tropical Depression 10 thing was kind of like a bookmark ending to kind of the more subtle, weaker systems before the real strong activity and really active activity started happening. So, something like that could potentially happen, begin to happen after this Tropical Depression 10. Something we got to watch out for. But, again, I think now we're in August, beginning of August, I think that activity for August will start to really ramp up around August 10th and afterwards. We're still most likely going to be seeing a pretty active August, honestly. We had we tied 2005 for the most active July July on record for tropical activity. We had 5 named storms in July plus Tropical Depression 10 as well. So, that's kind of in a way putting us neck and neck with 2005. Of course, 2005 still edges this season out because of Hurricanes Dennis and Emily, but that's just generally a very slight difference, to be honest. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please look out for that updated official 2020 Atlantic hurricane season forecast that I'll be putting out over the next few weeks, potentially. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.